Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to share with you my reaction and thoughts to Ghost's movie Right Here Right Now. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the film, save this video for another time and come back and join us in the comments, sharing all your thoughts and any theories you have about the future of Ghost. I was able to see the movie twice and I'm just so eager to share with you, so let's get into the video. First off, I want to say a big congratulations to Tobias Forge and Alex Ross Perry and everyone involved with making this film the spectacle that it is. It was just amazing to see my favorite band on the big screen, like a dream come true, honestly. So thank you guys so much on all your hard work because I truly think this movie was a success. I am reminded of an interview that Tobias did some time back where he was discussing the stage production and how the shows have gotten bigger and more advanced over the years. A lot goes into these shows to make sure everything goes off without a hitch, and the fact that each fan should have the same experience, no matter if you live in a really big city or maybe in a smaller town. So I feel that the movie, the fact that it was distributed as widely as it could possibly go, kind of achieved that goal, into which almost every fan can have the experience of being at a live show. Granted, I know being at Ritual is no way compared to being in the movie theater, but it's kind of close, just given the quality of work that was shown in the movie. And to me, that felt really special because when Ghost comes to Texas, they rarely come further south than San Antonio. Occasionally, they'll hit Corpus Christi, but not further south than that. So for the movie to end up in theaters in the Rio Grande Valley was very, very special. So I'm eternally grateful for that. I didn't have to travel 2 to 3 hours or 5 hours like I usually do for rituals. So I feel like that this movie has really reached almost all corners of the globe, and that is truly impressive. Overall, I was very impressed with the quality of picture, of sound, the content, the acting. Everything was just top tier, and it just blew my mind. Everyone looks so beautiful, for lack of a better word, and just theatrical and more animated, sometimes more sinister. It was just such a treat to see the expansion of our favorite ghouls and ghoulettes, and Papa and Sister, and Papa Nil, and even Mr. Saltarian, and the intro of the movie. So I think it was just a great product to end up in such a short period of time, you know, given I've heard of all the interviews of how this got started and pulling ideas out of Tobias's head. So bravo, truly. I really enjoyed sitting in my seat, bobbing and dancing along, and just being so immersed in the spectacle, theatricality of it. And I think the movie made me reappreciate a lot of my favorite songs, and then some songs I kind of put on the back burner for a while. I was completely stolen away once again by Cerise. I think the lighting in that was just so vivid and beautiful, and props to whoever came up with the idea of the Cerise POV, because that is one of the more coveted moments in a ghost show. I think not everyone gets to experience being Cerise by Papa. So putting that in the film, I guess, meant a lot to a lot of people. It meant a lot to me because I've always wanted to experience that. And I just think it was so beautifully shot. It wasn't on Papa the whole time, directly. The camera kind of pans so you can see more of the stage and the side. Just the cinematography of that moment was just so amazing. And as well as the rest of the film, I loved seeing and experiencing the show from all these different angles. Sometimes you're stuck up in a bowl seat or you're on the barricade, so you can't really see everything. And that's what's really enjoyable about the movie, because you get to see all the different moving parts up close and personal, like if you were on stage or on a certain part of the barricade. One thing I wasn't expecting out of the film was the message, and that was tied right into the title. And what I picked away from it was being present in the moment, right here, right now. No use worrying about the past or being anxious about the future and worried. Just be present, be grateful for everything that you've accomplished in the now. And I think that was really a good message to give out to people, because sometimes it can be kind of hairy out here in the real world, and music is kind of an escape. And pair that with Ghost and all its immersiveness and the care that Tobias has for the fans, and through him, Papa for Copia. And that comes out in all his speeches that he does in the show. And he did a speech also, and one of my favorite parts of this movie was the "If You Have Ghosts" portion. That blew my mind, and I got emotional. It was so beautifully done. I love that rendition of If You Have Ghosts with the piano and the strings and this operatic, haunting vocal. It was just so beautiful, the notes that she would do while Papa Four was singing. And it was just a great thing to hear from him. And it was like that humanity where he was talking about, sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad, and that's okay. And, life comes and goes in waves. So I think that was a very special moment to have in the film. The next part I really enjoyed was seeing Papa Four in his boxing robe and gloves. Didn't really make a lot of sense in the long run, but it was so fun to see. I grew up with the Rocky movies, so it's like, got a click of nostalgia for me. And I love the POV camera shot of him, like, taking jabs, like a real fighter going into the ring. That was really fun to see. And then leading up to the very next important or favorite part of the movie for me was experiencing those skeleton dancers in the debut of 20s. I had my jaw dropped the whole time. Those dancers, I love the choreography. It really gave you a sense that they are skeletons and they're bony and they're creepy and magical. It added a certain theatricality to Ghost and the stage performance, which I know Tobias has like an affinity for the like plays and theater and musicals. So I thought that was cool to tie in. Even with If You Have Ghosts, there was a very musical aspect to it as far as like musicals, like Sound of Music, Fiddler on the Roof, and whatnot. But going back to the dancers, I think it was very impressive and cool to include them. And even they come out later in the set wearing different types of sparkle pants and bow ties. It was just so interesting to see that incorporated. This is a rock show. This is not a musical. But I really enjoyed that, and I wish maybe that can come back, more in the future in a different type of production maybe, or maybe included in the live shows. The next interesting part of the movie was like during Ghost's Mariana Cross performance, they put in this cartoon sequence that was very reminiscent of Scooby-Doo chase scene, which has been kind of the running joke with Ghosts. It's like, oh, they just play Scooby-Doo chase music. I'm like, yeah, and it's cool. So it revolves around Papa Nil and Sister Imperator right after, the events of Kiss the Go-Goat, where we're led to believe that she's already pregnant with Copia at this time. But anyways, Papa Nil goes on this wild chase for her. They end up in a cemetery, making out in a coffin and in a giant pentagram, which I thought was interesting because if we didn't know that she was already pregnant, it would have been an interesting idea to have this ritualistic conception of Copia, right? Which kind of leads me into my next topic, which is the lore. Now, I was afraid going into this movie that I was going to be left with so many more questions than answers because we've been fed so many chapters and so many different forms of media and merch hinting at these different storylines, like Copia is not part of the real bloodline, he's Sister Imperator's son, like he doesn't fit in, who's Mr. Saltarian, like all these little things that weren't necessarily answered in the film. And after I finished watching it the first time, and especially after the second time, I realized that the story wasn't all that important to me at the end of it all. Yes, it would be nice to see some, blanks filled in, or maybe a treat to see Copia interacting with his past brothers, the past papas, but it's not really necessary. And like Tobias said in the premiere interview he did in London, you're not going to please everybody. You have all sorts of Ghost fans. You have ones that are strictly music snobs, like that's all they care about. They don't care who's singing, what's going on, who's on stage. And then you've got the fans that are real into the story and real into the lore, and that those answers are necessary for them. But I think the film kind of blankets everybody in this big hug. It's like everybody gets a little taste of everything. And I feel maybe if they gave more of a story, it might have lost a lot of people. Because I feel like at the end of the day, it was like a concert film. The story was just, like a side dish, just kind of linking everything together loosely. But I feel like those blanks are kind of fun, like the story blanks, because it leaves leaves for room for a lot of creativity within the fandom itself. Like that's why you have fan fiction writers and cosplayers. It makes you feel more involved because you can draw your own conclusions. And I don't know if that was intentional or if there's even a plan to kind of fill in and make it set in stone that these are the 13 commandments of Ghosts and this is how the story goes. At the end of the day, I think it's just about the music, and that's what I got from it at the end of the showings was just like, man, I don't care. Like, it's funny, and I really enjoy everything about the story. But at the end of the day, those songs, there's some bangers, and that's what we're all here for. It's just a fun little tidbit that we have all these colorful characters and a little bit hint of a story. So towards the end of the film, Sister Imperator ends up passing away, and in this death sequence between her and Copia, or he's seeing this happen, there's these images played out of like her giving birth to him, but there's like two babies, and then there's this shot of twin little boys, and then he just wakes up and realizes, oh, she's gone. So it left a lot of like, what? What is this? He has a brother? So that would tie in maybe to the end credit scene, but I'll get there in a second. Because at the end of the movie, when the credits roll, a new song starts playing. Now, the title was already kind of leaked or released ahead of time, so I already knew about it, never heard it though. It's called Future is a Foreign Land, and from the first note, sold. I love the tone, the vintage retro quality of the song. It's different, but it also kind of feels familiar at the same time. It gave me some ABBA vibes, also gave me Infestissimum vibes. So my hope for the future of Ghost in the new album is like something a little bit more darker, sinister, which kind of leans on Papa 2's side. But then you've got like this charismatic, Copia. So can we get something in between? Which leads to the end scene. There's a cut scene where Copia is with all his ghostly family awaiting the arrival of the new leader of the church, because Copia has now ascended into Sister's position as head of the clergy. And as they're facing the doors and there's a shadow coming through the door, this person's already wearing a Pope hat, an existing Papa. So it's caused some kind of like theories going around, oh, maybe it's just one of the old Papas, he's come back. And my theory is, no, it's his twin brother, already presumptuous and maybe a little arrogant, that, nah, I'm already the Papa. I'm here to replace you, guy. So I feel if this is Copia's twin, he's like a direct opposite of Copia. Copia's going to try to, honor Papa Nil and Sister Imperator and keep with the traditions of the clergy. This new guy, his brother, is like butting heads with him and having some pushback, and he'll be the antagonist, I guess. Like, he's more suave, or he's just like favored. He's a little bit of a jerk, maybe. I don't know. I just feel that's my take on this new leader. Or maybe it's just something different altogether. I mean, theories are flying already. So I want to say that I'll keep an open mind. I think it's really important to keep an open mind when it comes to your favorite bands or artists, because if you close yourself off, you're going to probably be limiting yourself to something you may be in love with later on down the road. And with Ghost, I like to keep a very open mind, because I've been blown away each and every time. Stuff that I haven't liked initially kind of weasels its way back in. And then, of course, I don't really like everything that Ghost does. But that's where I'm at with this film and the future of Ghost. I really wholly enjoyed it. I'm so glad I got to experience it and amongst my fellow Ghost fans here in the Rio Grande Valley. And yeah, let me know what y'all think of the movie. Have you seen it yet? What are your theories? Leave a comment down below, and I will see you all next time.